A-side and B-side drafts differ dramatically.
Yeah, Dynasty has banned Vox twice out of the 4 games they played yesterday, and Kestrel twice.
Well,
so Grace actually come as a ban, and Saul is banned by Cloud9. Wow.
What?
This has got to be Cloud9 just throwing away a ban just to leave more power picks open for them. Because they do have the next 2 picks, there is a wave of bans in between. This is them ensuring that they will have 2 extremely strong power picks.
Yeah, they're going to pick up Catherine here because Catherine is such a good counter into an Idris. This is literally the hard counter into a weapon or a CP Idris. So Catherine will be picked up, and Catherine in the hands of a Gate Vizzo, that's very scary.
It certainly is, but Adagio in the hands of Old School is also a terrifying thing to see. I'm curious to see whether that will be an Old School pick. Obviously, Adagio can be flexed into that captain role as well, so kind of a very open pick as well.
Wow, this is incredibly surprising that they just banned the Catherine from themselves.
Instead of Dynasty, forcing Dynasty to ban a Catherine from them. So it's interesting draft strategy from Cloud9 here. Now Dynasty can potentially ban away maybe Glaive or Cruel or Lyra. There's a lot of strong cap. Lance is up as well. There's a lot of options that they need to pick. But I think out of those, all the heroes available, those 4 are probably the critical ones. And Glaive will be taken away here.
Yeah, I still find this, the way that Cloud9 are entering this draft, very indicative that they have come in with a very set plan of what they want to achieve with this draft. It's not just, oh, what do we think are the strongest meta picks? It's what do we think we have the biggest chance with?
Yeah, they obviously have their own plan. That's not necessarily what the meta is, because this is a very, the picks are meta, but the bans that they have just made don't make as much sense to me. But obviously, they are the ones that are on the stage. They have a better idea.
I hope Dynasty takes a Lance here, but honestly, Lyra with Crew and Adagio, that's double Q, that's very strong as well. And if they're going to go CP Idris, there's no poison shift, so they need a hero on the side of Dynasty to poison shift. And weapon Idris is so risky because you have a Crew that's going to get in your face as a weapon melee. He just completely counters all weapon melee. So Dynasty here has the option, but Lance is a good counter into Cruel because he's able to push him off. So they're going to go ahead and take the Lance here, which then will leave Lyra open for the side of Cloud9, or they may even take Arden. And I think here they can either go with Petal or Sky potentially here and just run a weapon power Idris, or they may risk it and run a weapon power jungler and go CP Idris.
Yeah, I think the Petal would actually make a lot of sense here just because with Kroll and Adagio, there's not a lot to take out the Munions, but Scarf's going to be the option instead. So looking towards the late game a little bit there, it can be dangerous. There's not a whole lot to stop the Scarf ultimate other than From Hell's Heart, but a Fortress pick going to be the final one here.
That's an aggressive North American draft right there.
And the Fortress pick, pretty unsurprising, really. We've seen Gabe Bizzle play that a lot of times during the regular season. I want to touch on the fact that Dynasty very much falling back onto this kind of EU late game style, right? Going with a Scarf jungle. We've been seeing Scarf much more in the lane. You'd assume that the Idris is almost certainly going to the lane, though. Yeah,
Idris is almost certainly going to be in the lane, but Idris also takes a while to ramp up. You need to get at least 2 items on him before you can really be looking to trade, especially with someone like an Adagio, who, if you do try and trade with him early, he's just going to heal himself up and be perfectly healthy. So this is essentially the epitome of Clash of Regions in terms of the draft here.
Absolutely. Sweet Jake, very quickly, we've got to get on into this game. What is it that Dynasty have to do to pull out an upset here?
Survive the early game. The Idris and Scarf scale mid to late game. So if they survive the early game, they have a chance.
All right, well, we'll see how hard Cloud9 are going to put their foot on the accelerator pedal. It's time to get into the first international series of the season. It's time to head up to our casters.
NA versus EU. Can they do it, Kiernan?
Dynasty have got to pull out some magic to even take a game in this series, but they have the uniqueness of their European meta that they bring here. They might give C9 a run for their money.
I think they definitely can. This is going to be incredibly exciting. This is what everybody wanted to see, and we are loaded into the Halcyon Fold. Dynasty versus Cloud9. It looks like C9 looking for some action early on here.
Action of pausing. I think I want to touch on specifically when I was looking at the draft. I said, as the Dynasty draft is going on, a lot of, for me, their win conditions rely on Mowgli. Mowgli is going to be the guy that has to be stepping up this game, do a lot of protecting work. The Githian walls are going to have to be on point. It's going to have to be timing his protection of both the Scarf and the Idris incredibly well, because if he doesn't do his job, Scarf is going to get destroyed, Idris is going to get destroyed, and C9 will run rampant. We've seen this C9 composition before. We've seen the Cruel, we've seen the Fortress, the Adagio on Old School. Let's say Dienzio was good on Old School. Well, Dienzio was good on Diageo. Old School is the master
Adagio,
of this hero.
Old School,
So
I mean, it's pretty much the same thing at this point. Now, we do have Gabe Vizzle jumping in here. Deep Rikumeza taking a bit of damage. He will be forced out of his jungle early on. We expect this out of C9, and Tricky's in a bad place. Looks like he's able to secure a little bit of his backs there, but he goes down first blood to C9 within the first minute.
And that right there, for me, epitomizes North American play. Three-man invade, no mercy, relentless aggression. But I've got to give credit to the European team, Dynasty. They are going to head to the backs of the C9 composition and just take that away from them. Mowgli here doing his best to try and get this healing camp.
Let's see if Mowgli can do anything here. He's trying, but he's in a bad place. And this Dragon Blood contract doing a lot of work. Mowgli left for dead. That's the second kill for Cloud9. And these guys coming out strong.
Cloud9 rotated really well back to their back camps and punished Mowgli, who wasn't quick enough to do so. Now Tricky getting punished or pushed hard here by Gabe Vizzle on this Fortress. Again, two ways to deliver the Gift of Fire. You have the Cruel, you have the Fortress, both of which are very good at locking down a single target. And when you've got two high priority single targets in the form of that Idris and that Scarf, it's two ways to snowball the mid-game as well. So really look towards C9. 5 to 10 minutes. They're going to start to turn the heat up here. Dynasty are going to have to survive the flames.
Now they started with the heat turned up, and they're going to try to burn these guys down. We'll see what they can do. Of course, you know, you're going against C9, this North American powerhouse. You know that they love the early aggression. So I think it's going to be very scary for Dynasty to just try to attempt to actually scale up in this game.
And I think that's what the analyst desk really touched on. Is this a scaling composition from Dynasty? You are looking to get towards level 12, big item spike, Scarf's going to need 3 items, that Frostburn, that Eve of Harvest going to be so critically important for his survival and kiting potential. Tricky will likely pick up a Poison Shiv, so he will have that ability to reduce the healing on both the Cruel and what Adagio brings out. But again, Cloud9 are so good at pushing the advantage when they have it. I don't expect Cloud9 let Dynasty get there easily.
Well, there's also a factor that I think you have to consider. Of course, you want to kill the Scarf. You'd like to take the Idris down. But with the composition that Cloud9 has, it's so burst heavy once they actually come online that the Lance is actually going to struggle to be the front line.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's very single target focused for C9. So if Dynasty Gaming...
Oh, nice two-man get in from Mowgli there.
Yeah, doing a lot of protection work for Tricky here. The one thing that I think Dynasty have going for them is they do have two threats that scale very nicely, two individual threats. C9 is a single target focused composition. Apart from the Verse of Judgment from Adagio,
True.
Everything else is single target burst focused. So if Dynasty can get to a point where they are threatening both carries, equal importance, they might be able to split the focus of C9 and take them out in an AoE splash damage team composition, because you know how Scarf is good at doing AoE damage.
Oh, absolutely. Now, Rikumeza, he's in a bad place. You're going to see the Cruel moving in here. Gabe Vizzle providing that movement speed, the Dragon Blood contract, everything stacking up. And another kill going the way of Cloud9. Now 3-0, 3.5 minutes in.
They're going to rotate to the backs. They're going to deny more and more farm from Rikumeza. And while Tricky farms the lane, while he gets ahead of Old School, they are actually shutting down the primary late game win condition here of Dynasty. They're getting rid of the Scarf. They're denying Scarf's farm. They're denying his scaling. So whilst you might let Tricky get ahead, as Cloud9, this is a win for you, because you know Scarf is far more threatening than an Idris is in the late game. And you're happy to shut him down over trying to shut Tricky down.
Yeah, well, devil's advocate, maybe Tricky can come online and buy a little bit of space for Rikumeza, where he can then farm up, scale up, and get to that threatening position he needs to be in. I love Joseph hanging out in the Tribe Rush. They do see Dynasty down here taking away their front camps. C9 looking to make a play. Who will be the target? It looks like it's Rikumeza at this point. Joseph taking a whole bunch of damage, but Old School drop down from the lane. This is our first 3 versus 3 engagement. They're on to Mowgli. The Lance taking quite a bit of damage, and C9 look like they might want to let him go here.
Good disengage from Dynasty, but C9 continuing that North American brand of Vainglory play. It is literally go hard or go home. They always try and find these aggressive maneuvers in the early game. And this is often when you talk to North American teams, that's where they point to the weaknesses of Europe. They don't know how to push an advantage. Europe doesn't know how to be aggressive. So whenever you get this advantage in the early mid-game for a North American team, they close it out, whereas Europe generally likes to farm up and head towards the late game.
Absolutely, and looking at Old School with the AC picked up here early on in the game, we see time and time again, he's oftentimes completing this item before his opponent. This is going to be a big deal. It's a great pickup for the Adagio.
Well, it is his first item spike, and this gives him the ability to deal damage on his basic attacks without the use of Gift of Fire as well. So it makes him far more viable in skirmishes and teamfight situations. The little bit of CP that you get behind it also adds a little bit of a punch to your Verse of Judgment when you pick it up as well. So again, old school, like you said, he's one of the quickest players in the world to hit this as a first item and always prioritizes it over anything else, straight towards that alternating current. They've now started getting the reflex blocks down. I love that. The reflex blocks coming out because they know how important it is to not get impaled, try and block Githyan walls where they can, because Githyan wall and impale will shut down that aggressive move that C9 want to take when they come to these team fights, and that's why they're prioritizing these reflex blocks.
Yeah, that's exactly the way I was looking at it. It's a very telegraphed engagement, and you said it, it's single target focus, so you know exactly who they're going for when they move in. So a very nice pickup with these reflexes. Let's see if they can actually put it to use here. C9 up in the lane, 2 versus 3, applying pressure here.
Dynasty really don't want to be too aggressive here, though, because they don't do well in the mid-game. They really want to scale up. They want to hit items. Frostburn needs to come out for Rikumeza. You need to get Tricky onto that Poison Shiv. Has got his Divergent Paths unlocked now, so he's got that instant blink available. Very good at getting out of sticky situations. But yeah, I love this from Mowgli. He's just disengaging where possible. He's spending a lot of time around the turret as well. He's letting Rikumeza do his own thing in the jungle. Wait a second.
Yeah, we have the impale. A little bit of damage to follow up. The Githyan will knock Cloud9 a little bit further away.
This is actually really good from Dynasty. What they're doing is they're trying to defend their first turret for as long as possible. A lot of resources being invested into Tricky and Mowgli defending that turret, clearing waves, because let's be honest, what you've actually got here from Dynasty is an incredibly good wave clear composition as well. Chakram, Goop that is burning, it absolutely destroys those minions. So the longer that you can prevent that first turret, Mowgli in trouble.
Mowgli taking a whole bunch of damage. They're going to dive the turret. This is going to be the fountain used for himself, and he goes down anyway. Cloud9 seeing an opening and taking it.
And this is building off that point that you said earlier. At this point in the game, Lance, while he is a good front line, he's not going to survive that single target focus if he's left to his own devices. And Mowgli couldn't survive long enough to defend that. Now he's going to be up to Rikumeza to try and clear this waves, and C9 looking to put heavy pressure onto this turret. The ultimate for Cruel's not there, though, so they're not going to have that eventual there. Here we go.
Wow, a Dragon's Breath just to defend the turret here. Taking a lot of damage. Actually, Gabefizzle getting lit up. The fountain comes out. C9 dropping low, but they turned it. They burst Tricky down, looking for more 3-man. Get the wall. Gabefizzle back in here. Old school dropping the heal. Joseph looking to get him powered up in the brush here. Let's see if they go for more. But a bit of aggression backfiring, Dynasty. You got to be careful. Mowgli, he's jumped on, taking a whole bunch of burst damage. They've got him. 6-0. Under 8 minutes. Cloud9 on a tear.
Oh, it was a good move by DG, but unfortunately the fountain having been used previously by Mowgli to try and save himself in a situation that maybe wasn't quite necessary, came back to bite them when they got over-aggressive in that turnaround counter-engage. And unfortunately, just the fountain, well-timed, the healing is there right now. Poison Shift not yet completed for Tricky, so that sustain that Cloud9 brought to that skirmish meant that they were able to get back in, fighting, and brought it back to them. Maybe Mowgli will be regretting using that fountain now, because it wasn't going to save him either way. It's
one of those situations where oftentimes a captain will die, doesn't use the fountain, everybody's like, oh, why didn't he use it, right? But it's the respawn timers. You're early on in the game, so you're going to respawn, you're going to come out, and you have that fountain. That one hurt right there. We'll see how things play out here in the next few minutes.
What is a bonus for DG right now, though, while Cloud9 are playing incredibly well, just like we expect them to, no global objectives at 8 minutes into the game have been taken yet. And one thing that C9 is absolutely categorically famous for, it's destroying global objectives when they get the chance. Turrets, gold miners, they're always their primary focus. It hasn't happened yet for C9. That's good for DG.
Once again, Mowgli getting caught out here, taking a whole bunch of damage, holding the fountain, trying to get back to the turret. They stack it up, and he just gets burst down. You can see when they proc that Fortress Bleed, it is insane.
I love what C9 are doing now. They know that if they try and focus a carry, they're likely going to get battered away by Mowgli. If they punish Mowgli with the lack of defenses that he really has right now, then there's nothing to protect Tricky and Rikumeza, and they're going to go in.
The pack is down. Dragon's Breath, one more trying to defend. Adagio taking a lot of damage. Tricky, he thinks better, gets back under the turret. And look at that Spectral Smite actually almost taking him down there. Dynasty have defended the turret, though.
They have defended the turret, and that is the categorical importance from that fight. I love the way that Rikumeza is not afraid to use that Scarf Ultimate just to clear minions as a primary focus, to know that without those minions there, C9 are not going to get that turret for free or easily.
We don't see that all the time. I really like it.
I love it as well. I think, you know, he knows it's on a low cooldown. He knows that realistically it's not going to be there for teamfight damage right now. He knows that clearing waves and preventing global objective snowball is a primary focus for them getting to the late game, and you can see it in the gold standings right now. It's only 1,000 apart despite the 7 kills that Cloud9 have got. It's a close game in terms of gold value.
That's actually pretty crazy. I'd say that's a big win for Dynasty at this point based off of expectations coming into the series.
I like what C9 are doing. They're starting to turn the handle and go for this gold mine. Mowgli, too early.
Mowgli, a little bit way too early. Mowgli, you got to get out of there, bud. This should be gold miner going away over Cloud9, and yes, it will be.
So there we go. First global objective picked up for C9. Boosts the gold. Item spike starting to come out. The broken myth finished for Old School
and
now too. War treads there for Gabe Bizzle. This is a very, very aggressive teamfight maneuver composition now. And we've got the Blazing Salvo and Tension Bow and Aegis, something that Joseph is so categorically known for. Super early defensive prioritization.
Would you say they have hit their first power spike here?
Oh, yes, well and beyond. This is maybe even their second power spike. They just need to look to use it.
All right, let's see what they can accomplish here. All members hanging up in the lane. They're going to miss an impale from Mowgli. Gabe Bizzle jumps in, gives them the move speed. Dragon Blood contract is out. Tricky taking a bunch of damage. Needs to get back, but the Dragon's Breath is out. Burning Old School down. They have the healing. Burning him down. They switch to the Scarf. Burst him down. Looking for more. Do they go for the turret? Do they go for Heroes? They block off the impale. He drowns in. Old School goes down. Tricky able to actually find that kill. That it blows up in the face of Cloud9. They wanted more. They weren't able to get it.
And that was set up by Rick and Meza again. The Dragon's Breath slowing everybody down, made that aggressive movement speed focused composition from C9, shutting its tracks, and then Mowgli adds the finesse and finishing touch to allow Tricky to clean up. That's a really good defense from DG, but they're getting a little bit over aggressive once more.
Mowgli does not have a fountain, taking a whole bunch of damage. C9 think twice about diving under the turret. Maybe they could have got it, but not worth.
We're 11 minutes 13 to the game. Me and Humanist were having bets on maybe how long this game would take for C9. I said 12 minutes. We're already coming up to 12 minutes, and I'm super impressed with how DG have approached this. They've stuck to their guns. Joseph's going to go in on this turret, though.
That's why I said 14. Let's see what they can do right here. First turret. Oh, actually almost getting taken down by the Spectral Smite, but it still stays alive. Mowgli moves in. They're going to block off the impale. Mowgli combat, roll forward, looking for two. Finds the Githian wall. Old School burning down the Spitfires. Quite a few Spitfires actually landing here. That one will miss. They move forward. A Shimmer Strike. They're on target. Tricky trying to find the damage. Tricky onto Old School. He's separated from his team. He's going to find the kill with the shotgun.
Oh,
they got Joseph! Dynasty Gaming finding two. And this is an absolute disaster for Cloud9.
And Dynasty are going to get the first turret of the game.
This is so huge.
Who would have thought this? The European team that everybody underestimated.
A 16% apparently.
16%. It might even been 14%. I don't even know. It was very low, but European team somehow coming in and showing up. Look at this. Tricky, the man of the moment, making that aggressive move, knew his limits on this Idris. And I'm going to say Mowgli's use of the fountain right there was absolutely fantastic. He jumped straight onto Adagio, forces Old School out of the fight, and they capitalize with the turret as well. This is really, really good for Europe. Nobody would have expected this kind of game coming into this series.
I mean, that is phenomenal, what they just accomplished. What does that do to their confidence? I mean, because they obviously were kind of questioning things moving in.
Absolutely. If you talk to Dynasty before this started, I don't even think they had many hopes for themselves. They're always a team that has got a lot of sort of professionalism about them. They've got
a lot of respect.
A lot of respect about them. But you know, if they said we're 13 minutes into the game and we're ahead of gold on C9, even though they've taken 2 gold miners, probably they wouldn't even predicted it. They would have been happy with that situation. The real issue now is they have to convert. They've shut down the C9 mid-game. They've shut down Cruel's mid-game. He's going to start to fall off now. They need to be able to keep the momentum, get towards the late game, and start to put pressure.
Dynasty, 5-minute will! Attacking the pack is down! Cloud9 looking for a Dragon's Breath from Rico Meza, burning down. Old School is down! Tricky stays alive, moving back with the Shroud Step. The impale back in, a 2-man Githian. Joseph's in trouble. Joseph's going to go down. He's burning. Rico Meza stays alive. Dynasty are doing it. Is this... Tricky has been unleashed. Mowgli, Dynasty Gaming have been unleashed.
I don't even know what to say anymore, but Tricky, my man, he has been playing a game of his life. Rick and Meza, Mowgli even all stalling the game out for long enough.
Every single member on this team
absolutely playing their heart out. Mowgli having the most mechanical performance that I have seen from him in the last few years. Oh, sorry, few months. It's unbelievable. Let's have a look at this replay again. Again, the 3-man impale sets it up so nicely. Tricky knows his target every single time. Sticks to Adagio, making it very difficult for Old School to position and find the basic attacks onto the real target, which is the Scarf. And this is exactly what we talked about at the start of the game. The split focus of 2 very, very high damage individual carries. You want to combo Cruel and Adagio. You want to have Gift of Fire, Agent of Wrath onto the Cruel, attacking the target with the Adagio basic attacks. But that's not happening because no one can focus Scarf because Tricky is putting so much pressure onto Old School.
Oh, another impale onto Old School. He's getting burst down. Tricky trying to stay on the Adagio. Can they find the damage to take him down? The heal is coming out. Here's another Dragon's Breath roasting down Cloud9. They've stayed around too long, and Joseph burns down one more time. Dynasty is fully online. We talked about the power spikes from Cloud9 early on in this game. Touch on right now, what is making Dynasty so strong here?
Well, they've got a 3-item Idris right now. That's traditionally Idris's max item spikes. Tricky is going one step further with a 4-item Idris. This is specifically designed to delete old school. I love this. Oh, delete old school. This is a delete old school build. He doesn't care if he doesn't get anything else done in these team fights. His primary focus is absolutely take old school off the face of the map. And with old school gone, the late game prowess, or any late game prowess of C9 is thrown down the drain.
I mean, talk about timing. They take that fight, they take the Kraken, they are ahead in gold, and they've taken more turrets down. This is insane.
3-item Scarf completed, the late game fully online now for Dynasty. They are starting to accelerate into the lead, and if this is a game win for Dynasty, it's looking like that's what it's shaping up to be. This would be the third time, or the second time a European team has ever taken a game of C9. SK took one game last time, but Dynasty starting off the series with a win would be huge for them and Europe.
These guys were the kind of dark horse of Europe. They're coming in under the radar from a lot of teams. Now, attack of the pack, jump in. Can they find a target? It focuses down. C9 attempting. They need to retreat, though. Old School repositioning. Lets out the first, but he's burning down from the Dragon's Breath. Scarf doing a lot of damage. Tricky. He's in deep. Tricky's down. Old School stays alive. They still have the Kraken. They're going to lose the choke point turret. And it looks like Dynasty are just going to back off out of this one. So they take that. Only 2 turrets remaining here for C9.
Yeah, C9 did a really good job of defending around that defense point of the turret. Unfortunately, Rikameza couldn't get up to help Tricky put that pressure onto Old School. And actually, the peel onto Tricky, meaning that Old School was able to get out, was really good for C9 there. But like you said, it is an open-up base now. The base has been opened up for Dynasty. They're going to be able to now push in and take those Vein Crystal turrets on the next engage. And C9 really have to figure out a tactic here to make sure Tricky isn't being consistently threatening to Old School. It seems like they had it figured out then, but again, they had the sort of the defense bonus of that turret there. That won't happen too often.
What do you think they did differently in that fight to actually take Tricky down?
I think, unfortunately, Dynasty got split behind the turret. They couldn't quite back Tricky up when he went for the dive. Tricky went a little bit too deep, and Old School was in a good position to be defensive.
Taking advantage of that positional error, capitalizing on. I mean, C9 does it almost better than anybody right now, though, on the back foot. And shaking up potentially. I mean, if Dynasty came through and took C9 down, that could be the biggest upset we could actually have.
Also want to sort of bring a small attention to Mowgli with the Atlas Pauldrons. Now, we all know Atlas Pauldrons is one of the biggest counters to Cruel specifically, but also it has a double whammy. If you manage to get Old School and Joseph locked up with an Atlas Pauldrons, this is a alternating current-focused CP carry. It relies on attack speed, so Atlas Pauldrons has a double whammy here of being both effective against Cruel and Adagio.
Super efficient.
Super efficient, so that's why I like it on Mowgli. If Tricky was to think about a defensive item instead of his 4th weapon power item, he might have gone for the Atlas Pauldrons too, just to have that double whammy effect. But again, Dynasty Gaming on a high right now. Rikameza 3-item Scarf. We've got all the items coming up from Mowgli working towards the Echo Lance is something that we've seen. Double Githian Wall, incredibly important at peeling for his carries. This is a thing that could really work out well for DG here.
Rikumeza's positioning is going to be incredibly important moving forward. He cannot afford to be caught out. His Scarf has to stay on the backside of these fights, land his Spitfires, put down the Goops in perfect position, and the Dragon's Breath. We know those have been good for him so far. Well, I love Joseph looking for a target, but it's Tricky. Tricky on Old School, and he's bursting him down. Look at the breaking point stacking up, and also Dragon's Breath burning down, moving forward, stack the pack comes out. They've already lost Old School. Now it's going to be Game Fizzle second. I love Joseph just had to ditch completely out of that fight. They have 2 turrets remaining. It's just I love Joseph to defend here.
This could be the first game going over to Dynasty Gaming. What a move from them. Tricky, unbelievably aggressive, leading that team. He's the shot caller, and you can tell from the way he plays.
Oh my goodness, Dynasty Gaming. Dragonborn regretting this tweet that he put out earlier. Dynasty Gaming have done it. Ladies and gentlemen, taking game 1 off of Cloud9.
Look at them. Unbelievable. Woo! You can see